Hello and welcome to part 4 of the wood lathe build. I hope you apologize that I go more into the details than it is necessary, but hey guys, that's the way I do it. I hope you enjoy it and let's see what we can achieve in this part of the build. Here is the thing so far, and before I put the motor on, I want to add all the bulky parts onto the machine. So what I'm going to do next is to fabricate the backplate here, and for this I have here again my concrete mixer plates here, 3mm mild steel, and I will cut it with the plasma cutter. Here is the rough idea what it should look like in the end. My backplate, first I want to make these parts here and then the uprights, and of course I need some kind of holders. This time I will use a straight edge to guide the plasma cutter. Here are the parts for the backplate, and I straightened them at least to some extent by the use of a sledgehammer, and now I will weld them together. I will go for 45 degrees for no particular reason other than my welding magnets are 45 degrees. You know what? All of this reminds me to a British TV show called Scrap Heap Challenge. Not that bad. Now I will grind the welds and find a solution to connect the shroud to the machine base. The holders are on, and now I can drill the holes. And I think I will add 2 more supports. Looking good. Now I want to close this area here and cover the bearings. I did my usual cardboard origami on the headstock cover, and now I will cut all the parts with the plasma cutter. Oh man, the headstock cover is way more work than I have ever expected, but it's coming along. I will add this rail here to have one or two movable lights. I'm still waiting for the belt to arrive, so I cannot mount the motor and I cannot fabricate the belt guard. So what I'm going to do next is to make the holder for the electrical box. So this will be my switch panel here. Sturdy. Yes, it looks sturdy and massive, and it will end up exactly with the belt guard, I think. Nice, nice. I have to say, it's quite tough to get the 3mm sheet metal into shape, but as usual, where there is a will, there is a way. So let's plow on. Here is what it looks like after the usual grinding with the flap wheel, and I think I'm fine with it. I mean, it's just a belt guard. And I also did the first coat of paint on some of the parts. Here is the machine stand, the machine itself. Maybe I can do the second coat today. Maybe not. Okay. Some other parts. Here is the motor, but still no motor mount, because as I said, I don't have the belt. I'm waiting for the belt to arrive, and that's more or less the last thing I have to do, or when it comes to metalwork and cutting and welding, is to fabricate the motor mount. So all the big parts of the machine are painted twice with oil-based lacquer, and still not perfectly dry, but that's just a matter of time. Here is the belt cover, also with primer on. Okay, and meanwhile I've been working on the electronics of the machine. This is the electronic box. So here I have my illuminated main switch. I have a switch for permanently on or pedal. Here I have the reverse switch. Here is the potentiometer for the speed control. I have to order a knob for this. And here, of course, emergency switch. Okay. This is what it looks inside. The changeover switch, on-off switch, main switch, emergency switch. All of these switches are rated for 16 amps and 240 volts. Here is the potentiometer. Here is the motor speed electronic, a transformer for the work lights, 12 volt, as well as a bridge rectifier and a step down converter to convert the rectified 16 volts down to around 9 volts, because I want to run the cooling fans not on full speed, so not on 12 volts. I want to run them on 9 volts. This is one of the cooling fans. Cooling fans for the electronic. There will be another cooling fan for the motor, since this motor don't have a cooling fan attached to. Okay, what else? We have two fuses, one for the motor and one main fuse. And there will be a display somewhere here which shows me the speed of the spindle. I'm also waiting for the display to arrive. And yes, you see here I put painter's tape over the front so I can make my layout, mark everything and don't scratch the surface. Okay, that's the progress so far. And now I will test the setup with the motor. Here it is, hooked up to the 220 volt to the grid, and I also wired in the motor and a push button instead of a pedal, foot pedal, so just for testing purposes. And here is my 12 volt LED light bulb. There will be two of them, 200 milliamps each. These are the work lights. Okay, let's test it. Mains on, and here is my work light on. They will have separate switches to turn them on and off. Okay, here is my permanent on, and here is my motor direction. So left, which is the normal operation. Speed adjust, as well as reverse for sanding. And here I have my foot pedal active now. Both directions, of course, which I honestly use the most when I'm doing wood turning. I like to work with the foot pedal. Okay, and here emergency switch, shuts off everything. And as I said, there will be a display here which shows me the speed of the main shaft, but still I have to wait for this thing. Other than that, it's working. The fan is running and blows the air out here. There will be a filter here at the back, so that the fan doesn't suck in the sawdust. Here's my solution for the motor mount. I have two angled pieces here with a M20 threaded rod welded onto it, butt weld, and the other side has a nut so that the motor can pivot onto. And now I need a way to tighten the belt with two bolts. I have drilled holes, and now I can put a nut inside here, and theoretically this nut should not spin. And this is my solution to adjust the belt tension. Sawdust and electronic is not a good combination, so I have to make a filter frame. Here are the parts for the work lights. I want to have two work lights, and I want to be able to slide them at the back of the machine. Here are two light switches, one for each lamp. And now I have to glue on these guides here so that the let's call it the lamp base can slide along the rail which is already mounted to the machine. And this will be the clamping blocks, and I want to glue in M8 threaded inserts. Here is the light switch, and now I will drill the holes for the cables and the screws. Garden hose. Perfect. Okay, it's an experiment, but it seems to work. Let's make another one. I think you get the idea. Here is my lamp base, which slides on this rail on the machine. Here is my light switch, and at the back here I want to mount this bracket here, and my lamp neck so will go into this hole, and on the other side I will have my 12-volt LED bulb. Here's my lamp neck, and I'm using a piece of European style conduit. It's a 20mm plastic tube to hide the connection between the incoming cable and the cables here from the lamp socket. which of course fits to this kind of lamps here. And I'm using tons of hot glue. And don't forget the heat shrink. Now I can glue it in. Here is the result. Hooked up to 12 volt. And now I'm curious what kind of lampshade I can find. Rain relief. Perfect. Okay guys, because I know this video is already too long, I want to stop here, and I hope I can persuade you to follow me on part 5 of this series, where I hopefully finish the machine and we can turn something. And I say thanks for watching and see you next time.